Hello, everybody. This is Scott Wellington again. I promised last time to tell you more about me and where I'm from, so I'm going to break that up over the next few videos. For today, I was born in 1965, so I'm sure that dates me. I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States. So, yeah, that was where I was born. I was home would have been a place called Midvale. It's a small, well, it was a small town about 12 miles south of Salt Lake City, Utah. And that's where I lived until I was probably about 5. And then I moved to California. But those first 5 years, my grandfather on my mom's side was a miner, and my grandfather on my father's side was a farmer. So it's not like I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth or I had any advantage in life. I was born in a small town, and my grandparents were, just trying to stay alive like everybody was. And my parents were young, very young, and trying to stay alive. My grandmother's, my mother's grandmother, so my maternal grandmother, she passed away before I was born. So I didn't ever get to meet her, didn't know anything about her. And my grandmother on my father's side, I knew her for quite a while. Her and my grandfather on my father's side were very, very big parts of my life. She was a stay-at-home mom. And that sounds very simple, but she was a stay-at-home, take care of everything that my grandfather didn't take care of. They both worked very hard. And I'm sure on my mother's side, my grandfather being a miner, I'm sure they both worked very hard as well. I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes. And then my mother was 17 when I was born, and my father had just turned 19. That's kind of weird to me. I had my children at an older age, much older. I was 25, I think, when my firstborn was she was pregnant. I was pretty close to 26 when he was born. But regardless, they were 18 and 19, and I was a newborn. And my first memory when I was about 3 years old, so it would be about 1968, and I remember living in this small town in the middle of America, and I remember what my best friend looked like, and we had not really a tree house because it wasn't up in a tree, but we had a little fort that we built at the end of the driveway that we could hang out in. And we used to spend many times just wasting time in there. It's like that joke. It says, when my kids were 3, they were learning how to do download links. When I was 3, I was learning how to eat dirt. There's a big difference between me and my youngest son, that's for sure. But my first memories would be about when I was 3 years old, and my grandfather died when I was 4 years old on my mother's side. And I remember going to his funeral, and that's kind of when I started to question life and question being positive versus being negative, and what you can accomplish with your life and what you do with your life. And that takes me all the way from 1 until about when I was 5. Till I moved to Los Angeles, and I'll cover more about that in the next video. But I like to keep these videos really short so that people can watch them and just be done with them. But I'll pick up. I've got notes right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Anyway, I've got notes, and I'll pick up right where I left off and kind of fill in some more. But it's still the same thing. Every day, you can make a conscious choice to be positive. There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of fear. It's very easy to be fearful right now. I remember when I lived on the islands, we caught some crabs in the ocean and put them in a pot. And I remember turning to a plow, and because we built a fire right on the beach, I remember turning to a plow and saying, do we need to put a lid on the pot or do anything to make them safe? And he looked at me and he went, no, because if one of the crabs try to escape, the other crabs will pull it back into the hot water. So we just kind of sit here and let them cook. That was a big moment for me. And I think there's a lot of reality in that. There's a lot that happens to humans. It's very easy to be negative. It's very easy to be fearful. It's simple. It's very simple and it's very easy. I know times are tough. I know it's very hard. I know it's very difficult, but every day you can change yourself from being negative to being positive. Like I've said before, that's what I try to do. Do a gratitude journal. Make yourself be positive. It doesn't naturally come every day, and I don't really understand why. But don't be one of those crabs that pulls everybody else in. It's easy to post negative stuff, especially nowadays with social media. It's easy to post negative stuff. Try every day to be positive. Thank you for your time. My name's Scott.